Good afternoon and welcome to this grade 8 lesson on Concord, and this is the first part of a pair of lessons, so let's get straight into it. And of course it is being presented by me, so there we go. Now the first thing to remember, Concord means agreement. There must always be agreement between the subject and the verb. I can't, for example, say that I are an English teacher, because that would be a very silly thing to say. I am an English teacher. But before we go into the details there, let's look at the auxiliary verbs. Often it's the auxiliary verb that matters the most for the Concord, and here are some examples of auxiliary verbs. You have am, are, be, can, could. And you have had, has, have, is, may, and you have might, must, shall, should, and you have was, were, will, would. You know, that's a poem. It sounds lovely when it's read out like that. Brilliant stuff. Okay, now your subjects and your objects, for that matter, the objects of the sentence is the same, but the subjects we are dealing with today, and they are in three different persons. The first person subject is I, the second person subject is you, and the third person subject can be he, she, it, or they. All right. Now, let's take a look at the present tense. And remember that your tenses are always in two forms. You've got the simple form and the continuous form, and you'll see lots of examples of them during the course of this presentation. And we'll take the most simple sentence that I could think of, and in the simple form it's I walk, and the continuous form I am walking. You can see the difference for yourself. I'm not going to give you fancy definitions. Then you've got in now the second person, you walk and you are walking. And third person, he walks or he is walking. Now notice I've highlighted that S there, always in the third person single simple form. Okay, you've got that letter S that you have to put into it. It comes to us as a gift from Scandinavia, in case you're wondering. It was the Vikings that introduced this extra little S into English, and we've stuck with it up till today. Good. Now you have the past tense. I walked, simply an ed on the end, and I was walking. All right. You walked, you were walking. He walked, he was walking. Perfectly straightforward there. Let's look at some more. Future tense. I shall walk, I shall be walking. You will walk, you will be walking. And he will walk, he will be walking. Please note the future tense auxiliary verb for the first person is shall. For everybody else, it's will. Okay. Now you've got your present perfect tense, just to make things more complicated. I have walked, I have been walking. You have walked, you have been walking. He has walked, he has been walking. More complications. Past perfect tense. I had walked, I had been walking. You had walked, you had been walking. He had walked, he had been walking. That one's quite straightforward. And finally, future perfect. I shall have walked, I shall have been walking. Triple, you notice it's now triple auxiliary verbs. You will have walked, you will have been walking. He will have walked, he will have been walking. Okay, some more examples here. Now we've got first person with a singular subject. Right, so it's I, first person singular, I hunt, or I am hunting. I hunted, or I was hunting. I shall hunt, I shall be hunting. Okay, please note the shall. Okay, Now you've got the first person with a plural subject. Notice the change. We hunt, we are hunting. We hunted, we were hunting. We shall hunt, we shall be hunting. All right. Second person, singular subject. So that'll be you. This one's pretty easy. You cook, you are cooking. You cooked, you were cooking. You will cook, you will be cooking. And now notice this second person plural subjects. Take a look at this. You cook, you are cooking. Look familiar? You cooked, you were cooking. Look familiar? You will cook, you will be cooking. It's the same in the second person. It's the same in the singular or the plural. You don't change anything. Okay. Looking at finally a few more further examples. And here we have the third person with a singular subject. The dog barks. Please note that S on the end only in third person singular. Or the dog is barking. The dog barked. The dog was barking. The dog will bark. The dog will be barking. Okay, now we go to a plural subject. The dogs bark. Okay, you see, only thing changes is the little S disappears. The dogs are barking. Okay, straightforward enough. The dogs barked. The dogs were barking. Right, straightforward enough. And the dogs will bark. The dogs will be barking. And that's all I have for you for now. But before I go, please take a look at this task. It's a nice multiple choice answer test, and it's well, it's on. Obviously, you can see it's on Concord. Please, I encourage you to give it a go. It's lots of fun, and it's not difficult, and it's a really good feeling of satisfaction when you get a nice full mark for a test, and I'm sure you will. At that point then, I'm going to say goodbye.